So step forward with confidence, choose discipline, choose focus, choose to elevate every single day. Let the world witness your strength, your resilience, and your undying commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you rise. And trust me, every time you rise, you elevate yourself. You elevate those around you, and you elevate the world. Go ahead, start today. Your future self will thank you. Remember, the strongest trees grow in the toughest conditions, and you, my friend, are no different. The challenges, the hurdles, the drama, they're not here to break you. They're here to shape you, to mold you into someone unbreakable. Someone who knows that the key to success isn't in how loud you speak or how many people know your name. The key is in how steady you stand, how unwavering you are in your commitment to your goals, and how relentlessly you pursue your dreams, no matter the obstacles in your way. Understand this, the most powerful force in the universe is not external, it's internal. It's your mind, your attitude, and your unshakable belief that you are destined for more. Don't let the noise drown out your vision. Don't let temporary distractions pull you away from what you're truly capable of. Rise above, because you are more than what you've been told, more than what others expect from you. You are a force of nature. And the world is waiting for you to step into your power. You want to create a life that inspires? Then start by disciplining your mind, your emotions, and your actions. Start by choosing silence over gossip, peace over chaos, focus over distractions. The world will tell you to settle, to blend in, to do what everyone else is doing. But you know what? That's not where greatness lies. Greatness lies in making the hard choice to walk your own path, even when the road isn't clear, even when the crowd is going in the opposite direction. There's a famous quote by Jim Rohn that says, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or for the perfect circumstances. It's about making the choice every single day to show up and give your best, to stay focused even when the world around you seems uncertain. It's about choosing your future even when it's easier to get caught up in the drama of today. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who avoid struggle. They're the ones who embrace it with a mindset that is unwavering, unshakable, and unstoppable. They know that it's not about the storm itself, but how they choose to weather it. This journey, this relentless pursuit of the best version of yourself is not just about what you gain in material success, but the power you cultivate in your heart, the peace you find in your soul, and the strength that no storm can take away. Because let me tell you, the world doesn't need another person who folds under pressure, who crumbles in the face of difficulty, or who gets lost in drama. The world needs someone who understands that the true power lies in what you control. The ability to stay grounded, to maintain self-discipline, and to make decisions that elevate you instead of dragging you down. The road to success isn't paved with easy choices. It's made up of decisions that require you to stand firm when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It's the moments when everyone is telling you to follow the crowd, but you stand tall and walk your own path. It's the days when you feel weak, when everything inside you wants to give up, but you push through because you know that greatness doesn't come without struggle. Greatness doesn't come from being just like everyone else. It comes from being unapologetically you, from committing to your journey with focus and integrity. They want to be around it. And before you know it, you'll be the one leading the way, not following the drama. Every single time you choose discipline, you choose to step into your highest potential. And that is how you elevate yourself. As we stand at the crossroads of our journey, let's remind ourselves that the choices we make today shape the destiny we create tomorrow. You see, life doesn't wait for us to be ready. It doesn't give us a break when we're feeling low, distracted, or consumed by drama. Life doesn't care about the noise. What it does care about, though, is how we rise above it all. The world watches not for your words, but for your actions. It watches for the strength of your character, the resilience of your spirit, and the unwavering commitment you show to your dreams. And what is the core of that strength? It's the power of choosing discipline over distractions, focus over fleeting moments of chaos, purpose over passing temptations. Every time you choose discipline, you choose to elevate. It's the small daily decisions that add up to massive transformation. It's saying no to the phone call that will drag you into a gossip session. It's saying yes to the hard work, the focus, and the commitment required to achieve your goals. It's choosing to stay centered no matter what storms are brewing around you. And let me tell you, the more you make that choice, the easier it gets. Discipline becomes a part of who you are. It becomes your default setting. And the best part, the more you elevate, the more people notice. People admire discipline. They respect it. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't show up on social media with flashy pictures or hashtags. It's quiet. It's the work done in the background, the effort that no one else sees. But here's the secret. That's where the magic happens. When you're not looking for external validation, when you're not letting drama dictate your mood, your day, or your life, that's when you're truly free. And that freedom is priceless. It's the freedom to create, to build, and to rise above. It's the freedom to live life on your own terms, not at the mercy of anyone else's drama. Let's take another example. Think about a student preparing for an important exam. They have a choice. They can get caught up in all the distractions around them, friends texting them, social media updates, TV shows calling their name, or they can make the decision to focus, to study hard, and to ignore the chaos. It's not easy. They might feel like they're missing out. They might even feel lonely or frustrated, but in the long run, they're making an investment in themselves. When the results come back, when they've aced that exam, they'll know that their discipline paid off. And it wasn't just about the exam. It's about building a habit, a mindset, a strength that will serve them for the rest of their lives. The truth is, when you choose discipline over drama, you're also choosing your peace. Drama disturbs your inner peace. It pulls you in all directions, leaving you feeling out of control and overwhelmed. Discipline, however, gives you the control you need to stay grounded, no matter what's happening outside of you. You've seen it before. People who are constantly caught up in drama look exhausted. They have no peace because they're constantly dealing with the fallout of their emotional reactions. They're jumping from one crisis to the next, and they have no time or energy to focus on what truly matters. But the disciplined person, they are calm, composed, and focused. They know where they are headed, and they don't let the noise of the world pull them off course. Discipline, on the other hand, requires focus. It requires you to be intentional with your time, your energy, and your decisions. It means choosing to stay aligned with your goals and your purpose, even when the world around you seems to be falling apart. Take, for example, someone training for a marathon. Every day, they wake up early, they lace up their shoes, and they run. They don't feel like it some days, they don't want to do it some days, but they do it anyway. Why? Because they are committed to the bigger picture. They are disciplined in their actions, and because of that, they are elevating themselves every single day. They are building strength, resilience, and character. And when race day comes, they are ready. Not because they've engaged in drama or sought attention, but because they chose discipline over distraction. Every step of the way. Now, let's break it down. What does it actually mean to choose discipline over drama? It's not just about avoiding conflict or ignoring what's happening around you. It's about recognizing that drama is a distraction. It's about understanding that every moment spent embroiled in unnecessary emotional turmoil is a moment stolen from your potential. You see, drama is seductive. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, the rush of emotions, and the illusion of being part of something bigger. But what does it really do for you in the end? Nothing. It leaves you drained, frustrated, and often stuck in the same place you were before. Let's consider a real life scenario. Imagine you're in a toxic environment, maybe at work or even in your social circles. There's always gossip, drama, and negativity swirling around, and you're constantly tempted to get involved. People are spreading rumors, throwing accusations, and engaging in petty conflicts. You feel the pull to jump in, to defend yourself, or to add your voice to the chaos. But in that moment, you make a choice, a powerful one. You decide to walk away. You decide to stay silent, to focus on your work, to keep your energy for something more productive. That's discipline over drama. And every time you make that choice, you elevate. You elevate in the eyes of others, but more importantly, you elevate in your own eyes. It's a skill that you can develop just like any other. It's about choosing to be the master of your own destiny, to rise above the noise, and to be intentional with every thought, word, and action. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you master self-control, you become unstoppable. You become the person everyone wants to be around, the person everyone wants to follow, and the person who achieves everything they set their mind to. Every time you choose discipline over drama, you elevate. And let me tell you this, the power of that choice cannot be overstated. It's the kind of decision that might seem small in the moment, but in the long run, it's what separates those who thrive from those who simply survive. Discipline is not about rigid rules or denying yourself all pleasures. It's about choosing consistency, focus, and vision over the noise of temporary distractions. And drama is the emotional roller coaster that drags you into situations that drain you, take you off track, and waste your time and energy. When you choose discipline instead, you're choosing to step into your power, your purpose, and your future. Self-control is a quiet yet powerful force. It's the difference between making decisions you regret and making decisions that move you closer to your goals. It's the difference between living a life of chaos and living a life of purpose. And here's the thing, it's not something you're born with. Think about the people you admire the most. The ones who seem to have it all together. The ones who face challenges with grace, who are never rattled by stress, who seem to always make the right decisions. What you're seeing is the result of years of self-control. It's the result of countless small moments where they chose to be calm rather than react. They didn't let their emotions or impulses dictate their actions. They were able to harness their inner power and direct it where it needed to go. And the beauty of mastering self-control is that it's a skill that permeates every area of your life. When you get good at controlling your thoughts, your words, your actions, your emotions, when you're able to pause, reflect, and choose the best course of action, you start to create the life you want. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your own reality. You stop being swayed by the whims of others, by the noise around you, and by fleeting desires. Instead, you make decisions that are rooted in your highest self, in your long-term vision, and in the person you aspire to become. Here's another example. Think about the world of business. Success in business isn't just about having a good idea or working hard. It's about consistency, discipline, and above all, self-control. Take any successful entrepreneur. You'll notice that one of the key traits they all share is the ability to stay the course. They don't make impulsive decisions based on emotions or temporary circumstances. They don't let short-term failures derail their long-term vision. Instead, they have a deep understanding of their goals, and they stay focused, no matter what happens around them. Whether it's dealing with setbacks, handling criticism, or managing financial pressure, these entrepreneurs know that self-control is the only thing that will keep them moving forward. In these moments, self-control becomes the sexiest skill because it shows that you are in command of yourself. It shows that you're not a slave to your impulses or your emotions. You don't let life's challenges dictate your actions. Instead, you respond with clarity, purpose, and wisdom. People find that magnetic. They admire it because it's rare in today's world. Most people are reacting to everything, living in a constant state of stress, anxiety, and emotional roller coaster. But when you can remain calm, composed, and focused, you become a beacon of stability. People want to be around that. People want to follow that. Self-control is not just about resisting temptations. It's also about mastering your emotions in the face of adversity. Think about a situation where you've had a disagreement with someone, a friend, a family member, a colleague. Your emotions are running high and you feel like you've been wronged. The most immediate response is often to react, to lash out, to say things that you might regret later. But the true power comes from being able to pause, take a breath, and decide how you want to respond. It's the ability to look at the bigger picture, to rise above the moment, and to choose a response that aligns with your values rather than your temporary emotions. Take the example of someone who's trying to lose weight. Every day they wake up with the intention of sticking to their diet plan, but then, as the day goes on, they're faced with temptation. A coworker offers them a piece of cake. A commercial for fast food comes on TV. Or they simply find themselves feeling exhausted and stressed, wanting to comfort themselves with unhealthy food. It's in these moments that the person's true power is revealed. It's not about just saying no to the cake. It's about understanding the bigger picture, the reason why they've made the commitment to themselves in the first place. They know that indulging in a momentary pleasure will only derail their long-term goals. So they decide to hold their ground even when their emotions or impulses try to persuade them otherwise. Now, let's be real for a second. In a world where instant gratification is at the forefront, where emotions run high, and where people seem to be constantly reacting to what's happening around them, self-control often feels like an outdated concept. But let me tell you something. The people who are able to control themselves, their emotions, their impulses, those are the ones who truly control their destiny. You see, self-control isn't just about holding back. It's about knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to let go. Money isn't the enemy. Being financially illiterate is. The more you educate yourself, the more power you have to take control of your financial future. No matter where you start, there's always room to grow. When you decide to take charge of your finances, you're no longer a victim of your circumstances. You become the architect of your destiny. Self-control is the foundation of true power. It's not just about resisting the urge to eat that extra slice of cake or holding back from responding angrily in a heated argument. It's about mastering the most important thing in your life, yourself. It's the quiet strength that shapes your decisions, defines your character, and gives you the kind of influence that no amount of external validation can replicate. It's a skill that is both subtle and incredibly potent. And it's undoubtedly one of the sexiest qualities you can possess. Now let's think about what happens when you become financially literate. You stop worrying about money because you understand how to manage it. You know how to save, how to invest, and how to make your money work for you. You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. And you're not afraid of unexpected expenses because you have a solid financial foundation. More importantly, you start to build wealth. Not just for yourself, but for your family and future generations. Here's the reality. People who are financially illiterate are often the ones who struggle the most. They may work hard and earn money, but they don't know how to make their money work for them. They end up trading their time for money without realizing that there's a smarter way to build wealth. On the other hand, those who invest in financial education understand that money isn't just something you earn. It's something you can grow. They know how to leverage their income, how to make smart investments, and how to plan for the future. But Sarah's story isn't unique. Countless people have transformed their financial futures simply by taking control of their financial education. It doesn't matter if you're starting with a little or a lot. What matters is what you do with it. The moment you decide to educate yourself about money, you're opening the door to a world of possibilities. You're taking responsibility for your future instead of relying on external factors to improve your financial situation. Now, Sarah is living proof that financial literacy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The knowledge she gained didn't just change her financial situation, it changed her mindset. She no longer saw money as a stressor or something out of her control. Instead, she saw it as a tool to create the life she wanted. It empowered her to make decisions that were aligned with her long-term goals, rather than being caught up in short-term desires. She took a financial literacy course, read books, and started educating herself about money. She learned about budgeting, investing, saving for the future, and building wealth. Slowly but surely, Sarah started making smarter financial decisions. She paid off her debts, created an emergency fund, and started investing in stocks and real estate. Over time, Sarah's financial situation changed drastically. She went from being broke and in debt to being financially independent, simply because she learned how to make money work for her. Let me tell you a story about a friend I know, Sarah. Sarah grew up in a middle-class family. Her parents were hardworking, but didn't have much in terms of financial knowledge. They had jobs, they paid their bills, and they saved a little here and there, but they never really learned how to grow their money. Sarah's parents did their best to provide for her, but they didn't teach her how to manage money. When Sarah got her first job, she made good money, but because she didn't understand basic financial principles, she ended up spending it all. She was living paycheck to paycheck, going into debt every month just to keep up with her lifestyle. It wasn't until a few years later, when Sarah was struggling with credit card debt and loans, that she decided to make a change. This is why it's crucial to shift our mindset around money. Money isn't the problem. It's the way we think about it and how we manage it. One of the most powerful mindsets you can adopt is the understanding that money is an opportunity. It's a tool that can create more opportunities for you, but only if you know how to use it wisely. Money itself doesn't have the power to define your future. Your choices with money will. That's why financial literacy is key. The real issue isn't the paycheck. It's the lack of awareness about how money works. Think about it. We're taught all sorts of things in school, math, science, literature, but most of us graduate without ever learning the basics of personal finance. We're not taught how to save, how to invest, how to budget, or how to grow our wealth. And yet, these are the very skills that will determine our financial future. Without financial literacy, we're left vulnerable to making poor decisions that can keep us from achieving financial freedom. I've seen so many people fall into this trap. They spend all their energy chasing a paycheck, but they don't invest in learning how to build wealth. It's like they're running on a treadmill, going faster and faster, but never getting anywhere. Take the example of someone who has a good job, but can't seem to get out of debt. They make decent money, but they don't have a budget, they don't understand how credit works, and they don't know the difference between assets and liabilities. They get paid, they spend, and when the bills come, they have nothing left over. They keep thinking that if they just make a little more money, everything will magically fall into place. But the reality is, no matter how much you make, if you don't know how to manage it, it will never be enough. Imagine this, you work hard, you earn money, and it's flowing into your account. But instead of learning how to manage it properly, you just spend without a plan. You think more money will solve your problem, so you buy things you don't need. Indulge in impulsive purchases, and before you know it, you're in debt. You're stuck in a cycle of working harder to earn more, but never actually getting ahead because you don't understand the simple principles of managing your finance. This isn't a lack of money. It's a lack of financial literacy. It's an inability to make money work for you rather than against you. Ultimately, stopping the habit of making mood swings your personality is about growth. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that is not at the mercy of your emotions, but is actively in control of them. It's about recognizing that your emotional state doesn't have to define your actions or your relationships. When you choose emotional maturity, you choose to live a life of consistency, trust, and authenticity. You don't have to let fleeting moments of anger, frustration, or sadness dictate who you are instead. You can choose to respond with clarity, grace, and emotional intelligence no matter what life throws your way. Money is not evil. It is a tool, a resource, a means to an end. It's a reflection of your efforts, your value in the marketplace, and your capacity to create opportunities for yourself and others. However, what happens when you don't know how to handle it, when you're financially illiterate? That's where the real problem lies. The evil isn't in the money itself. It's in the lack of understanding about how to use it, how to grow it, and how to protect it. Think about the impact this will have on your personal relationships. Have you ever been in a relationship where mood swings were a constant source of tension? It's draining, it's hard to stay connected when you never know which version of someone you'll encounter. But when you choose to manage your emotions, you create space for real connection. You allow yourself to be present, to show up as your true self, rather than allowing temporary feelings to hijack your interaction. This doesn't mean you won't experience strong emotions, but it means that you'll handle them in a way that is mindful and constructive. Now, consider how this applies to your interactions with others. If you constantly let your mood swings take control, it's impossible for people to trust you. One day you're happy and full of energy, and the next you're withdrawn and irritable. Those around you never know what to expect, and that inconsistency breeds uncertainty. When you stop making mood swings your personality, you start building trust with others. You become predictable in the best way possible. People know that no matter what happens, you'll respond thoughtfully, with respect for both yourself and others. You become someone they can count on, not just for your abilities, but for your emotional stability. The key to making this shift is mindfulness. Recognize when your mood is starting to shift and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Sometimes emotions come from a deeper place, like fear, insecurity, or past experiences. By becoming aware of the root cause, you can address the issue more effectively. Instead of letting your mood dictate your personality, you can choose to respond in a way that aligns with your values and goals. You learn that you're not defined by how you feel in any given moment. Imagine a scenario where you have an important event to attend, but your partner or a friend does something to upset you just before you leave. It could be something small, like an offhand comment or a slight misunderstanding, but it stirs something inside you. In the past, this might have been the catalyst for an emotional explosion. You might have let that moment of irritation carry over into your evening, ruining the experience for everyone. But what if instead you decided to take a deep breath, let go of the frustration, and focus on enjoying the evening? That's the power of emotional control. When you stop letting your moods dictate your actions, you start living in a way that reflects your best self, not your temporary frustrations. This is what it means to stop making mood swings your personality. It's about creating emotional stability, no matter what external forces are at play. When you make a habit of reacting with balance, you gain more control over your life and your relationships. You stop becoming a hostage to your emotions, and you start becoming the master of your responses. Let's break this down with another example. Imagine you're at work, facing a stressful deadline. Everything seems to be piling up at once, and you're feeling the pressure. You could easily let that stress dictate how you engage with your colleagues. You could snap at someone for asking a simple question. Or you could let the tension in the room make you withdraw into yourself, becoming quiet and unapproachable. But you also have the choice to respond differently. You can acknowledge the pressure you're under without allowing it to consume you. You can be honest about how you feel without letting it define your mood for the entire day. By choosing to not let the stress control your emotions, you maintain your composure, your professionalism, and your peace of mind. Why does this happen? Often it's because we haven't learned how to manage our emotions. We allow external factors, whether it's a difficult situation at work, an unresolved argument with a loved one, or even something as trivial as a late coffee order, to control our emotional state. In those moments, it feels like we are the victim of our circumstances. But here's a mind-blowing thought. You are in control of your emotions. You get to decide how you react, not the circumstances. We all know people like this. People who are either on an emotional high or crashing low, without any real sense of balance. And when this becomes their default way of being, it's hard for anyone to connect with them on a deeper level. It's exhausting, both for them and for those around them. People who let their mood swings define them fail to realize the effect they have on others. The truth is, no one wants to walk on eggshells around someone whose mood is constantly changing. They begin to distance themselves, not out of malice, but because they're simply unsure of how to handle the next emotional shift. Let's take a look at a real-life example. Think about a person who one day is your best friend, laughing, joking, and bringing so much positive energy into the room. But the next day, for no clear reason, they become irritable, distant, and downright negative. They might snap at you over something trivial, or simply withdraw from the conversation altogether. Now, the first time this happens, you might brush it off. Maybe they're just having a rough day, you think. But when this happens again and again, you start to question, who are they really? Which version of them is the real one? So the next time gossip comes your way, remember, gossip is cheap. Be expensive. Be the person who rises above the noise, who keeps their words thoughtful and meaningful, who refuses to engage in anything that doesn't align with their values. Be the person who doesn't need to talk about others to feel validated. The person who's too busy building something worthwhile to waste time on cheap conversation. You are valuable, your time is valuable, and your words should reflect that. Stop making mood swings your personality. This one statement can change your entire approach to life if you truly internalize it. Too many of us let our emotions dictate our behavior, and more importantly, our interactions with others. We've all been there. One moment you're on top of the world, feeling unstoppable, and the next, a minor inconvenience sets you off into a spiral of frustration, anger, or sadness. But here's the truth. Your mood should not be the driving force behind your identity. If you let your emotions control your actions, you risk creating a personality that is volatile, unpredictable, and ultimately untrustworthy. This is the power of choosing to rise above gossip. It's not about pretending that you're better than others. It's about recognizing your own worth. It's about knowing that your energy is precious and that you're not going to waste it on cheap, empty talk. You're too busy building a legacy, too focused on your goals, too determined to let others distract you from your own greatness. Let's take a look at how this applies to social media. Today, we are all part of a global conversation, and social media has amplified the reach of gossip to an unprecedented level. It's easy to share an opinion, to comment on a post, to stir the pot. But ask yourself this: what is the real cost? What do you gain from adding fuel to a fire that only burns those caught in it? When you choose to remain silent in the face of negativity, when you choose to rise above the online gossip and judgment, you choose to be expensive. You protect your peace, your reputation, and your energy. You make the conscious decision to put your time and focus into something far more valuable, creating, building, and elevating your own life. Think about the people you admire. Are they the ones who engage in petty gossip? Do they waste their time talking about others, criticizing them behind their backs? No. The people who make a true difference in the world, the ones who lead by example, the ones who inspire others to be better, they don't waste their time with gossip. They focus on their mission. They focus on their purpose. And when they speak, their words are thoughtful, impactful, and meaningful. They speak with intention, not from a place of judgment or malice. There's a reason why people who gossip are often seen as small-minded. They lack depth. They lack purpose. They're consumed by the idea of being in control of information. But the information they possess is often based on assumptions and false narratives. When you refuse to participate in this, you show that you're above the noise, that you're focused on building something real, not just talking about the lives of others. You become a person of value, a person whose words are measured, whose words are impactful. Consider this. You have a coworker who's not performing well at work. It's easy to get caught up in conversations with others, speculating about their shortcomings, making assumptions about their character, and talking behind their back. But imagine this scenario instead. You keep your mouth shut. You focus on your work, on your goals, on your own growth. Instead of gossiping, you show up with integrity, knowing that your success is determined by your actions, not by tearing someone else down. You don't need to engage in the cheapness of gossip because you know that your value is too great to waste on it. Gossip doesn't require any skill, it doesn't require effort, thought, or any real substance. It's easy to criticize, easy to tear others down. But it takes a real person of strength and character to build others up, to speak life into situations, to refrain from judging, and to choose empathy over assumptions. When you engage in gossip, you're simply lowering yourself to a level of cheapness that doesn't reflect your true worth. And let's be clear, you're not just hurting the person you're gossiping about, you're also hurting yourself. You're dimming your own light by getting involved in conversations that have no real value. Let's take a real life example. Picture yourself at a family gathering, and the conversation turns to a relative who isn't there. They're going through a tough time. Maybe they've made some questionable decisions or taken a path that others don't understand. It's easy to start whispering about their mistakes, to judge them from a distance, to feel superior for not being in their shoes. It's easy to join in, to nod along, and to feel like you're a part of something important. But when you choose to stay silent, when you choose to stand apart from the gossip, you send a message, not just to those around you, but to yourself. You're telling yourself that your energy is too valuable to waste on something so cheap. You're choosing to be expensive, to rise above the negativity, to keep your thoughts and words focused on what matters, your own life, your own path. Think about it. How often do you find yourself in situations where someone starts talking about someone else behind their back? Did you hear about what she did? I heard he's been struggling at work. It starts off as a harmless conversation, but before long, it becomes an exchange of judgments, criticisms, and assumptions. It's easy to fall into that trap. It's easy to listen, to add your opinion, to feel like you're in the know, to feel like you have some kind of power over someone else's story. But what's the real cost of this? The cost is your own integrity. The cost is your energy, your peace, your ability to rise above the noise and stay focused on your own journey. Remember this. When you flex money you don't own, you're not just lying to others, you're lying to yourself. You're saying that the appearance of success matters more than the substance of it. But real success, real fulfillment comes from building something that lasts, from making choices that align with your true values. Don't let the world fool you into thinking that your worth is determined by what you can show off. Your worth is determined by what you can create. And that's something no amount of borrowed money can ever buy. Gossip is cheap. Be expensive. It's a line that should resonate with anyone who's ever felt the sting of hearing rumors, of being dragged into petty conversations that don't serve any real purpose. We live in a world where gossip is as easy to spread as a click of a button, a whisper in a hallway, or a comment under a post. It costs nothing but can wreak havoc on someone's reputation, relationships, and peace of mind. But when you choose to rise above it, when you refuse to engage in the cheapness of gossip and instead stand firm in your integrity, you make a choice that elevates you. You choose to be expensive, not in material wealth, but in your presence. When you stop flexing money you don't own, you start freeing yourself from the prison of expectations. You stop living a life for others and start living a life for yourself. You learn to say no to the things you don't need and yes to the things that will actually make a difference in your future. This is how you break free from the cycle of debt, stress, and fake success. This is how you build a life that's truly yours. One that doesn't rely on borrowed money or borrowed time. Look around at the people who've actually made it. Do you think they're out there flexing? Do you think the true legends, the innovators, the creators are living to impress people with their money? No. They're quietly doing the work, staying grounded, and putting their money into things that grow their wealth. They're investing in businesses, in properties, in themselves. They understand that success is built over time, not in a flash. But how do we get out of this trap of flexing money we don't own? It starts with understanding the difference between living for yourself and living for others. Stop measuring your worth by what you can show off. Start measuring it by what you can build, by the work you put in and the legacy you leave behind. Understand that no one who truly matters cares about what you're wearing or the car you drive. They care about your character, your intelligence, and the work you do behind the scenes. Let me tell you something. True wealth doesn't come from impressing others. It comes from building something solid. Real wealth is not about the brand name on your shirt or the car you drive. It's about your ability to live within your means, to grow your money the right way, to invest in yourself, your future, and the things that actually matter. It's about owning your life, your choices, and your success, not borrowing someone else's. Let me give you an example from daily life. You know that friend who always seems to be one step ahead, financially, always showing off their latest gadget or new outfit? But then when it's time to pay for a group dinner, they're the first to ask, can we split this? You see them flexing their lifestyle, but when you scratch the surface, you realize they don't actually have the financial freedom they're portraying. They're just putting on a show. They're living paycheck to paycheck, juggling bills, trying to keep up appearances, and sinking deeper into the illusion of success. This isn't just a dangerous game. It's a trap. We've all seen the flashy social media influencers living their dream lives. But here's the thing about the dream life. It's usually financed by someone else's dream, or worse, by credit cards and loans. These influencers often rent their lives. They rent the expensive apartment, they rent the lavish vacations, they rent the luxury cars. And while the world is fooled by their success, they're struggling just like the rest of us. They might have the appearance of wealth, but deep down, they're living in the constant fear of falling short, of being exposed. Here's the hard truth. You can't flex what you don't own. You might think that posting the image of your rented luxury car or your designer wardrobe will get you praise and admiration, but the reality is it's all temporary. The validation you get from external sources is fleeting. What happens when the picture's been liked, when the comments stop rolling in, when the temporary applause fades away? You're still stuck with the bills. You're still left with the pressure to maintain that image. And worse, you've created a persona that's not even real. Now, you may look at this and think, that's not me, I'm not like that. But let's pause for a second and take a deeper look. How many times have you bought something, not because you really needed it, but because you wanted to show it off? How many times have you felt the pressure to keep up with the latest trends, to live a lifestyle that's beyond your means, simply to feel validated? How many times have you stretched your budget, even dipped into debt, just to post a picture that screams, I've made it? Think about it. You know that person who posts on Instagram, the one who seems to have it all? The latest phone, the trendy sneakers, the fancy restaurants. They've got the lifestyle you dream of, or at least that's what they want you to think. But here's the kicker. That car they're posing next to, not theirs. Those designer bags, bought on credit. Those lavish dinners, paid for with borrowed money. They're living a lie, a shiny facade that's barely held together by plastic. And the truth? They're struggling on the inside. They're spending money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. So the next time you feel a wave of emotion crash over you, remember this. Don't let that temporary mood cause permanent damage. Breathe, take a moment and ask yourself, what kind of woman do I want to be today? The kind who reacts in haste and regrets later, or the kind who stands firm, poised and in control? The choice is always yours. Don't flex money you don't own. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's the reality check that the world desperately needs today. We live in a society where wealth and success are often measured by what you display. The flashy cars, the designer clothes, the extravagant dinners, the expensive vacations. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor, there's a dangerous trend that many people are falling into. They're flexing money they don't have, living a life that's more about appearances than about authenticity. And what happens? They end up drowning in debt, stress, and a life built on a foundation of lies. This isn't some fairy tale. This is real life. This is the difference between being a victim of your emotions and becoming the master of your own state of being. Every day you get to decide how you show up. You can choose to allow your emotions to control you, or you can choose to take a step back, breathe, and remind yourself that feelings are like waves. They come and go. You don't have to ride every wave, especially when it's pulling you down. Recognize when it's time to pause, reset, and act from a place of peace, not impulse. Think of someone who inspires you, someone who seems to have their life together, someone who radiates calm and confidence in the face of adversity. They don't let their mood ruin everything. They understand that their feelings are just passing clouds in the sky, not a permanent storm. They know how to ride the waves without letting them crash them against the rocks. You've seen it. People who rise above their feelings and stay grounded, focused, and powerful, they're the ones who attract success, love, respect, and inner peace. When you allow your mood to dictate your actions, you give your feelings the authority they shouldn't have. You let them control you, and that's where you lose power. The truth is, we don't have control over everything in life. The universe isn't going to stop throwing curveballs at us. But what we can control, what we have 100% power over, is how we respond to those curveballs. Will you let a bad mood ruin your day? Will you let a moment of anger decide the course of your career, your relationships, or your self-worth? Or will you take control, recognize that feelings are temporary, and let your inner strength lead the way? But let's talk about the flip side. Imagine you're at work and someone challenges you in a meeting. You feel your temper rise, your chest tighten, and for a moment, you're tempted to snap. But you don't. Instead, you take a breath, regain your composure, and respond with logic, not emotion. Your response is calm, clear, and confident. You've chosen to let your intellect and self-control guide you, not your frustration or insecurity. That's a moment of true power. Not because you've won the argument, but because you've won over yourself. You've mastered the most difficult part of any conflict, your own emotions. Take a moment to reflect. How many relationships have ended because someone allowed their temporary frustration or sadness to blow things out of proportion? Maybe you've had a fight with your partner, and in the heat of that moment, you said things that you could never take back. You let your anger get the best of you, and now, months later, that fight is still hanging over your head, unresolved. Or maybe you've lost a job or an opportunity because you couldn't control your temper in a meeting. You allowed your irritation to dictate your actions, and now you're dealing with the fallout. That's the damage of a momentary mood, a temporary feeling, one that you allowed to define an important part of your life. We often let our temporary moods dictate how we show up in the world, and that's a dangerous game. Emotions come and go. 1 minute you're on top of the world, and the next you're sinking into negativity. The trick is to not let that momentary feeling determine your entire day, or worse, your entire life. Think about it. How many times have you made a decision based on an emotion, only to regret it later? How many people have you hurt, or how many opportunities have you missed, simply because you couldn't control your reaction in the moment? Now, let's talk about this same situation from another perspective. What if you woke up late, spilled your coffee, and read that frustrating email, but instead of letting your mood decide your actions, you took a deep breath? What if in that moment of discomfort, you decided to respond with grace instead of aggression? You could acknowledge the frustration, but choose not to let it consume you. It's a choice that not only protects your peace, but also preserves your relationships and your reputation. It's like saying, I know I'm upset, but I don't need to project that onto everyone around me. That's power. Imagine this, you wake up late, your boss sends you a frustrating email, your coffee spills on your favorite shirt, and you spill out a string of curse words under your breath. Everything feels like it's falling apart, and then in the midst of it all, someone innocently asks, hey, how's your day going? How do you answer? You lash out, right? You snap at them. Do you see what kind of day I'm having? Do you see the mess around me? Now maybe this person did nothing to deserve your anger. They were simply trying to connect. But you couldn't control your emotions. The anger you felt because of everything else spilled over, and suddenly someone else has to deal with your storm. So if you're trying to level up, if you're tired of chaos, if you want your life to reflect the queen you are, start here. Start with your words. Because while the world is watching your walk, it's your mouth that tells them whether to follow or flee. Don't let a temporary mood cause permanent damage. It sounds simple enough, but think about how often we lose our cool in the heat of the moment and do or say things that we regret later. Our emotions, those fleeting feelings that come and go, are the ones we let control us. And yet, they are the least reliable part of us. They're like the weather, unpredictable, changing in an instant. Yet we allow them to dictate how we react, how we behave, how we treat others. And the results? Well, they're often far from pretty. The ones who know when to speak, how to speak, and when not to speak, they are the ones who get the deal, win the room, keep the peace, and own their throne. You may have grown up hearing, speak your truth, but let me upgrade that for you. Speak your truth with grace, with power, and with precision. Because when you learn to control your mouth, people start to listen when you speak. Your words begin to carry weight. Your silence becomes magnetic. And yes, love can be destroyed by the mouth too. You could love someone with all your heart, but if every time you're hurt, you hit them with words that stab, guess what? They'll stop feeling safe around you. And love without safety, that's a ticking time bomb. There are girls who ruin their own magic just by overtalking, sharing too much, oversharing their plans, their moves, their pain, their love life. And then they wonder why things fall apart. Protect your privacy like it's sacred. Don't let your mouth expose what your energy should keep quiet. Sometimes we use words to impress, to dominate, to fill silence. But sometimes silence is the biggest flex. You don't have to speak on everything. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to voice every opinion. A woman who can stay quiet when she has every reason to speak, that's a woman who is dangerous in the best way. Because she doesn't need noise to be powerful. And it's not just about anger. It's also about gossip. It's about those times you talk about someone just to feel included. Those group chats where you roast someone to feel seen. It feels harmless until it isn't. Because sooner or later, someone talks about you the same way. Energy doesn't lie. And neither does karma. What you say about others says way more about you. Your words are the advertisement for your brain and your heart. They tell the world how you think and who you are. That's why you have to guard your mouth like it's $1 million vault. Because once it opens in the wrong way, you may just bankrupt your image. Now flip it. Same meeting, same disrespect, but you react emotionally, you raise your voice, you throw shade, even if you were right. Guess what? You just lost credibility. Because people forget your logic when your tone is loud. And no one respects someone who lets others pull them out of character. Let me give you another example, the workplace. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone undermines you or disrespects you in front of others. You're boiling inside. You want to explode. But instead you breathe. You collect yourself. You respond with calm precision, facts and clarity. That's a boss move. Because anyone can yell, but not everyone can remain poised and unshakable. That's silence with strength. That's the moment you win without saying much. You think you're strong because you speak your mind? No. Strength is when you can control your mind before it controls your mouth. We live in a world that claps for people who are savage with their mouth. Sarcasm is seen as sexy. Clapbacks are considered confidence. But let me tell you something nobody says out loud. There's nothing cool about being out of control. Real power is not in attacking with your words. Real power is in the restraint, and worse, they remember every word you said. They may forgive you, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Your apology might be accepted, but the emotional scar, that stays. Regret crawls in. Let me take you into a situation you've probably experienced. You're having a rough day, everything's going wrong, and someone says something a little annoying, maybe your sibling, your coworker, your partner, and in that moment, instead of breathing, instead of pausing, instead of checking your tone, you snap, you lash out, you unleash a storm with your words. You feel good for 10 seconds, powerful, like you defended yourself. But then, that's how powerful the tongue is. You see, there are people walking around today with broken hearts, not because someone cheated, but because someone spoke words that pierced deeper than betrayal. There are friendships that are cold, not because of distance, but because of something said in heat that can never be taken back. You may not remember what you had for lunch last Wednesday, but I bet you remember the one sentence someone said to you 5 years ago that broke you. Words are free, but the cost of using them wrong, that can be everything. You keep saying people don't get me, but baby, maybe you don't get you. Your mouth can be your weapon or your ruin. That's not just a poetic line. That's life's brutal truth wrapped in velvet. Think about it. One wrong word in a moment of anger can destroy a relationship that took 10 years to build. One careless sentence can snatch away a job offer you worked so hard to get. One sarcastic comment, one ego-driven clapback, one unfiltered rant, and boom, your reputation, your image, your peace, all down the drain. It's dismantled by your own mouth, mood, and money moves. It's not destroyed by bad luck. Your life is not ruined by enemies. She lost everything because she couldn't control her mouth. He lost everyone because he couldn't control his mood. And most people are still stuck in life because they never learned to control their money. Babe, if you can't master these three, the world will master you. Ladies and gentlemen, queens and kings, listen to me loud and clear.